Okay, so we have a wild daf in store over here. I got it, a lot of Gadata, and tomorrow also. Where did we leave off?
Without it, the new parak, new Mishnah, new parak.
Did we do the Mishnah? We didn't do the Mishnah,
You
right?
said you said we should, and then we didn't.
Oh, we didn't. Okay, right.
And
Okay.
we said l'chaim.
Now tonight I'm regretting that we didn't. Okay, so the Mishnah. I don't know. It's another thing, David. I don't know why this is a new parak.
I mean, I don't know why you said my name. I don't have any other better answer.
No, because you were. No, I'm saying you were talking about.
Yeah. I'm saying, why'd they have to cram this in? This 13 blotted. Make a 15 blotted. Make everybody happy.
Yeah, I hear that. But I say it's the printers. I don't know who made the prakim. Like in Chumash and Nach, it was made by Goyim. Most opinions say it was made by Goyim. I don't think that's the case in Shas. Okay, so it's the Mishnah. Kayin Mashiach. So a Kayin who is Mashiach, right? But meaning he's not Mashiach, meaning he was anointed. And then he did a chet, and then he was no longer a Kayin. Right, let's say he has a mum. Right, so Mamela, he can't, once he has a mum, he can't be the Kayin. Or a nasi, who we were going to see later, it's talking about a king, right? And he was also knocked down from his godless, or he's Tameh, or he had Tzara. I mean, not Tameh, he's Tameh because of Tzaras. We're going to see, I think it's tomorrow's daf, that a nasi cannot be a nasi if he has Tzaras. Right? Kohen Mashiach, maybe par, the Kohen Mashiach brings a par. But nasi maybe seir, and a nasi brings a soir, meaning they bring their regular, even though right now they're no longer practicing, let's call it that. If he was, meaning again, he was over the Averis when he was in his position of power, right? And then he did the Avera, and then he lost his position of power. So this is right. But let's say a Kohen Mashiach who was already downgraded, and then he did the chet, right? Right? Meaning they already were downgraded. So then Kohen Mashiach may be par, then the Kohen Mashiach brings his regular par, and a nasi kahedjit, and the nasi brings like a hedjit. So of course, again, it's confusing. Why don't both have the same din? We'll try and see that in the Gemara. But again, if they both did the chet when they were in office, and then they were taken out of office, they do the regular karbanos. If they did the chet after they were knocked out of office, then the kohen still brings his regular par, but the nasi brings like a regular hedjit. So Gemara asks, exactly now that you're saying that if a guy was downgraded onto today's daf now, and then after that he does a chet, maybe par, he brings a par. Meaning, what's a bigger chiddush? If he did the avera when he was still employed, and then he's bringing it later, or is it a chiddush that once he's already not employed, then he does the avera? So of course, if you're going to say that when he did the avera afterwards he was employed, he brings his regular carbon. So then for sure, if he did the avera when he was employed, right? So what's a pshat? So the Gemara answers, Mishnah Katani Gabi Nasi, the Chior over Mr. Yosef, Achga Chata Kahedjid, Maisi, Achitani Gabi Mashiach, Chata Vachga over. Meaning, the Gemara is saying, no, a Nasi doesn't have the same din, right? And since the Nasi doesn't have the same din, meaning if the Nasi does an Avera after he was out of office, he brings he's like a regular Hedjit. So then you would think that the Kayan is also like that. That's why the Mishnah had to teach it. Right? That's pretty easy Gemara. Yeah. Again, because the dinim change once they do the Avera after they're out of office. Okay, so the Gemara says we're 5 lines down from the top and Yudam and Aleph, Minonimili. How do we know this? Tanarabana vehikriv al chatasoi. It says, and he brings it on his chatas. Malamet maybe chatasa misha'avar. It means chatasoi is the chet that he already did. So he brings the carbon on the chet he already did. Sheyachav aloy dinu. Because you would think it should be a kavachayim roman nasi shemaybe b'shigas ma'isa. A nasi, if he just does an action, he brings a carbon. Ain maybe chatas misha'avar, but he doesn't bring his chatas misha'avar, right? Meaning once if he does the avera once he's out of office, he brings a regular chatas. Mashiach shein maybe b'shigas ma'isa. A Mashiach who doesn't bring a carbon at all when he does the shaygi ma'isa. The only time he brings a carbon is when he paskined incorrectly and he did it. So like kol shekain, isn't it a kol shekain that he should bring like a hedjit? Tamalaim of a hikriv al chatasai. He brings on his chet malamet shemevi al chatasai misha'avar, teaches us that he brings an achatas misha'avar from when even after he already left. Okay, so Gemara says v'naisi nami nasi b'kavachaymer. Why do we learn out nasi from kavachaymer? Uma Mashiach shein maybe b'shigas ma'isa. A Kohen Mashiach doesn't bring from a shigas ma'isa. He just does a ma'isa. He doesn't bring. Maybe chatos. He brings a chatos misha'avar. He brings a chatos. If he did an avera once, he left office. Nasi shemaybe chatos b'shigas ma'isa. So a nasi who does bring a chatas b'shigas ma'isa, anything shemaybe chatas misha'avar, isn't it a kavachaymer that he should bring his chatas misha'avar? Right? Meaning, if a Mashiach doesn't bring a chatas if he just makes a mistake without pastuming, but if once he leaves office he doesn't have avera, he brings a carbon. So a nasi who does bring a chatas, right? So of course he should bring a chatas once he leaves office. So that's what the pasuk says. Asher nasi yachta. It says asher nasi yachta kishu nasi in kishu hedjit loy. The pasuk says only when he's an active nasi does he bring the carbon. Once he's no longer an active nasi, once he's no longer an active nasi, then he doesn't bring the carbon. Okay, good. So Zak the Mishnah. Yeah. Chatu, now this is going to be the other way around. Chatu ad shaloi nisnamnu, ba'achar kach nisnamnu, nismanu, right? If he did an avera before he became kohen or before he became nasi, obviously a shogig, and then he was appointed, and now he has to bring the carbon. So now what does he do? Do we go with when the chet was, in which case he brings like a regular yid, or do we say that he brings it for whatever his matzav is now, and now he's a kohen or a nasi? So it's like hedyotis. If they became nasi or kohen, then he brings like a regular. But if they only found out about it once he was already appointed, then he is potter, right? Okay, so Ezu Nasi, and what is now finally the Gemara, the Mishnah describes for us what a Nasi is. Ezu Nasi, Zemelech, it's referring to a king. Shanemar Mikol Mitzvah Hashem Elikov, She'ein Al-Gav of El Hashem Elikov. It says from all the mitzvahs of Hashem, which it sounds like there's nobody above him other than Hashem. So he's the highest. So a Nasi and a Kohen are the highest level. So there's nobody, they don't have to answer to anybody except for Hashem. Okay, so now the Gemara has a similar Gemara to the previous Gemara. So we're not immediately.
You have to answer to someone besides Hashem?
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah, who do you answer to?
Let's say Bezdin.
We don't have a Bezdin now.
Right, well, you have Batei Dinim now. Unfortunately, there's no I'm not going to say respect, but
it has no authority.
There's no authority, but the bottom line is, in theory, it does have authority. We're
Okay.
just in Gullus. We're in Gullus, so there's no authority.
Okay.
You want to say maybe a Mayatzis member, like somebody of the Mayatzis Gedolei Torah?
I'm saying you're saying Rav Moshe Sternbach.
Right. I don't
Yes.
think he has to answer anybody.
Yeah, but Yaakov, as long as they have to be made, they don't have the din of a nasi. That is
No,
answering.
I don't think they have it. No, David's just asking who would have that meaning. David was trying to say that nowadays we have nobody above us. We don't know who do we answer to anybody. That's just a gullus. That's unfortunately a gullus related issue, right?
Does this include like a Rabbi Yehuda nasi?
We're going to get to Gemara tomorrow's daf, or the next day's daf is going to discuss Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Is asked the exact kasha you just asked. He says, "What about me?" He says, "Do I have anybody?"
No, were they
Yeah.
willing to see him? Were they,
He asks that. He asks that, and the answer they told him is that no, he does have other. He has to share the power with the Reish Galusa.
Right.
So therefore, he has to answer the Reish Galusa. So therefore, he
But
is
what
not
about the Reish
considered.
Galusa?
I guess he had to, maybe he had to answer to Rebbe. I don't know. Reish Galusa wasn't necessarily Jewish, right? Was he?
No, I think the Reish Galusa Jewish. They weren't so. They weren't always so yasha.
Neither were the Kohen Gadol's.
Neither were many of the kings. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so Minani Mili, how do we know this then? So the Tan Rabbanan Emakoyin Mashiach Yachta Lashma Prat Lekoygus. It says if the Kohen Mashiach does the chet, meaning it comes to exclude if he did the chet before. Because you would think it's a kavachomer, similar kavachomers that we just said. The action for this stuff is on Amid base, right? You would think it's a kavachomer. Uman nasi should maybe be shigas ma'isa. So a nasi, as we've been saying, if a nasi makes a mistake, he brings a korban, right? A kohen doesn't. Ain't maybe al kohenus. So a nasi who brings for doing a mistake, right? And bring on when he did an avera before he got into office. Mashiach shein maybe ela al helam davar im shigas ma'isa. So a Mashiach, a kohen, who does not bring a korban for shoygig unless he paskins incorrectly and acts on it. Ain't it din shelo yaveh al kohen? So isn't it a kavachomer that he's not going to bring? Meaning he seems to be more strict than the other. So when it says loy. You can't say anything like that because by Nasi, he doesn't bring a chatase she'avar. Term Mashiach shemayvi chatase misha'avar. A Mashiach does. Hayol maybe chatase misha'avar. Yavi ala kohen. But since he does bring a chet once he is out of office, right? That was the previous mission. Since he does bring the regular korban. Once he's out of office, that means he already has a chumrah. So then Mamela, he should also bring on if he did an Avera before. Right? That's what you would think, Tam. Maybe. If he did a chet when he's actually practicing, then he brings. Hedyot, kishu hedyot, ain't a maybe. But when he's a hedyot, he does not bring. Batanya Nami Gabi Nasi Kia Gavna. We have a similar back and forth by a Nasi. Asher Nasi Yechta says that the Nasi does a chet, prat l'koidus. Comes to exclude if he did a chet before he was in office, right? Because you would think it's a kavachomer. A Mashiach who brings his chatas misha'avar ain't a maybe ala koidus. He doesn't bring on before that. So Nasi shein maybe chatas misha'avar. So Nasi who does not bring a korban once he's out of office, isn't it a kavachomer that he shouldn't bring on avera that he did before? So Gemara asks on that, you can't say that it's machmer because the Mashiach doesn't bring on a shigas ma'isa. Kohen doesn't bring on a shigas ma'isa. Toimar benasi. So by a nasi, shemayni b'shigas ma'isa. A nasi does bring if he just does a mistake. Maybe shigas ma'isa yaveh ala koidmus. And since he brings on shigas ma'isa, he should also bring on koidmus. Right? So Tamalayman Asher Nasi Yechta. That's what it says. Asher Nasi Yechta. Shechata Varehu Nasi V'Loi Shechata Vadeo Hadiyat. Because he's talking about where he has to be, where he did a chet when he's a Nasi, and not when he did a chet when he's already knocked out of office. Right? Okay. Bottom line is like all the other cases, we have different dinim by Nasi and Kohen Mashiach, right? Fine. Okay, so Tana Rabbana. Now we start with the heavy hashkafa. These next two blot actually have it's actually very apropos to Yom Darayim, these Gemaras. So Zog the Gemara, Tana Rabbana. Yeah, we are 5 wide lines down. So Tana Rabbana says Hashem Nasi Yechta. What is the pasuk saying? That the Nasi will do a chet. Right? Yachal Gzeira. You think, is it possible that the Torah is making Gzeira? Meaning it sounds like if you take the pasuk at face value, it sounds like the pasuk is saying that a Nasi will do a chet, guaranteed. To guarantee that the Nasi is doing a chet. Meaning, and he has no breira. He has no breira, there's no free will, no anything. That's what the Gemara is saying. Could it be? Tamalaymer im HaKoyen HaMashiach Yechta. It says if the Kohen HaMashiach makes a mistake, just like over there. It's when he does a chet, Afkan likashayachta. Not that he's going to do a chet. It means that when he does a chet, meaning the initial reading sounds like Asher Yechata, that he's going to do a chet, in which case it doesn't sound like there's any sort of free will whatsoever. In which case, why would anybody want to become a Nasi? Because it's saying guaranteed you can do a chet. So then the pasuk says, no, it doesn't work like that. Right? It doesn't work like that. It means that when he does a chet. Right? Fine. So Amar Yachol Gazu Gzera Mehecha Tesi. It's very rare, I think, that you get a Gemara that says Mehecha Tesi. I know it's part of the yeshivish jargon, right? But I don't know how often it says Mehecha Tesi, right? But the Gemara is asking, did we really think that Hashem is making a Gezerah? Right? So Amri, yes, we would think that. Ashtachan, we could find the Sibin Asati Negat Saras, the base Eres Achuzashem. It says, and they're going to give a Negat Saras in base Eres Achuzashem. That's talking about Saras, right? So what is that? That sounds like Hashem is going to give Saras to Klal Yisrael. Besura Hilahem, right? It's a Besura. It sounds like Hashem is telling them the news that they're going to get Saras. Rabbi Yehuda. That's the way Rabbi Yehuda understands it. Rabbi Shimon says Pratlan Nigei Einzin. It's coming to exclude Nigei Einzin, meaning when somebody gets a Saras, that he's an Einis. So Rashi says, what does this mean? Nigei Einzin. We'll see more later, but he says basically a shade somehow started up with him and got him Tzaras. So Rabbi Yehuda Basura. So now did Rabbi Yehuda really say that it's news? Hachanami Ema Gezeri, right? Maybe it's a Gezerah. Hilka Ksiv Im, that's why it says the word Im. Right? So it's not that the Gemara, the Torah, is making a Gezerah that he's going to definitely get Tzaras. No, that's why it says the word. That's the word Im.
Yaakov, aren't they two different things though?
What do you mean?
for somebody to sin is they're being forced to do something. Negat Saras, according to many Mefarshim, was on the house was Stam. It was a
Oh, so very good. So right.
meaning
So
bad things happen to people. That's fine.
yes.
I'm saying
I was hoping nobody would bring it up, Akiva, but okay, you failed the test. I mean, whatever, you passed. Akiva's asking that
one's a
Negat
mice and one's
Saras
not,
on a
basically.
house. What? Yeah, on a Negat Saras on a house is not based on anything. That's what you're asking.
Yeah, meaning that Stam can
It's
happen. It's honestly a
well, we're
bad
not
thing.
going to say it's a fluke. Maybe that's apicorsis, but
No, even if it's a bad thing, bad things happen to people, and bad things happen to good
right.
people too, even if they didn't do anything wrong.
Well, that's on the base. We're going to get that on
I'm
the
just
base.
saying, one is Xera that you're going to do something. One is something happening to you.
Correct. So, but that's what the Mefarshim ask. Of course, I can't remember now what they answer.
And the Gemara, and it's one of the things the Gemara says in Sanhedrin that I think of Shimon says never happened, just like Erni Dachas.
All right, very good. That's another thing.
To make it more
one
complicated.
of the things that they say. That's right. What on the bias, but that was really for a technical reason, right? You had to be on the corner,
right, exactly.
Yeah, but in Lamaisa it never happened. Yeah. Anyways, that's part. So that those are part of the kashas that Achrayim ask over here. Okay.
Whatever. The Mefarshim also bring down there were certain people that things happen to them against their will as well, but
Yeah, okay, you're right. So then you get
Yehuda and Tamar, like according to many Mefarshim saying.
Yeah, we'll get to that on our base too. Right. Okay, so let's see. Ular Shimon Nigei Einstein Milai Matamu. Do Nigei Einstein, are they not Matama? Right? Meaning, because it sounds like, what's the whole thing here? What are we talking about? We're talking about him becoming Tame, right? So it sounds like, according to Rav Shimon, you're not even going to come Tame. For Tanya, Adam Kiyah, it says Adam Kiyah, when he will have tzaras. It sounds like only if you had tzaras after the Torah was given. If you had tzaras from before the Torah was given, then you're fine. Well, you can have a couple of you have Tamei Bezav and you have Tamei Ben Goyim. Mazav min hadiba ve'elech. Zav goes from, it only started once they were given the Torah. After Goyim and hadiba ve'elech. So to Nagayim was min hadiba ve'elech. Right? Loi. So the guy says, Loi, Yemar Bezav Shekain Ein Matame Ba'inus. A Zav does not become Tamei Ba'inus. If for whatever reason he's an Einus and things start coming out of him, so he's not going to be Tamei. Tamei ben Nagayim Shema Tamei Ba'inus. But Nagayim are Matame Ba'inus. Tamei Leimer Adam Kiyah min Adiba Ve'elech. So that's why the pasuk is telling us that it's only the tzaras that comes from min Adiba Ve'elech. Right? So whatever it is, you see that it's Matama. Right? So Gemara says, Rav Amar Prat Lenige Ruchos. So it's what Rav is saying is that it's coming to exclude Negoyim that come from Ruchos. What's Ruchos? So Ruchos means, Rashi says, either it happened from, like somebody got a burn, and from the burn, he got tzaras. Right? Or somebody hit him, and from that, he got a tzaras. So meaning when Reb Shimon is talking about that the pasuk's excluding an einus, he's only talking about those specific types of einsim, and that's it. Reb Papa Amar Prat Lenige Kshafim. This is talking about it's coming to exclude tzaras that comes from sorcery, right? Meaning that if a tzaras comes from sorcery, that is how do you say it? That's einus, right? But anything else would not be considered an einus. I don't know exactly what all this means. I don't know where regular tzaras comes from. So how about all this? Face nisht. Okay. Weiter. Taner Rabbanu. Asher nasa yechta prat l'chayla. says that when a nasi does a chet, it comes to exclude when he's a chayla. Right? Meaning when he's if the nasi would be a chayla and he does a chet by mistake, he doesn't bring any karbanas. Mishum dahav, the Gemara asks, Mishum dahav le chayla itchile minasiyusei. He's not a nasi because he's sick. What's? I mean, he has a strep throat, so then he's not considered a nasi. He's on sick leave, so he doesn't have a din nasi. Someone of Dimi Barchama, problem nasi shouldn't start. It's coming to exclude a nasi who got tzara. Shenemar b'yinaga shemes hamelech v'hi metzayra ad yoyim moisa v'yoshev v'beis hachavshis v'yosem en hamelech halabayis. Right, this is talking about Uzziah. When Uzziah got tzaras, right, he wanted to become Kayin and whatever that whole. I gotta mute this. Someone, right? He wanted to become a Kayin, right? And
You're not going anywhere, are you?
and whatever the rest of that story is there. Yeah. Fine. So he got tzaras for the rest of his life. So his son took him over. But so you see that once you get tzaras, you're downgraded. You're out from being nasi. But the Gemara is gonna dwell on these words here from this pasuk. It says, "V'yoshev bebeis hachavshis," and he stayed in the house where he was free. Right. So what does this mean? He stayed in the house where he was free. Now we start with the heavy duty agada to Gemaras. It sounds like he went and he was free, meaning he's downgraded from being a nasi, but he's sitting in a house that's chavshis. That's mashma, that when he was ruling, he was an eved. So what is this like? What does that mean? So they were traveling on a ship. And they were going. I'm sorry, they were traveling on a ship. Have a pita. Rabbi Gamliel brought bread. Rabbi Yeshua have a pita v'silsa. Rabbi Yeshua had bread and flour. Salim pisei the Rabbi Gamliel. So Rabbi Gamliel's bread was used up. Samach hasulta the Rabbi Yeshua. Then he was starting to rely on the flour because flour stays for longer. Right? Amar lei mi have yadas to have alani kuva kulei. So he said to him, Rabbi Gamliel said to Rabbi Yeshua, how did you know that we're going to be delayed so much on the ship? The asis sulta that you brought flour, meaning I thought we're going for a day or two. I'll bring some bread. It gets a little old. We'll survive. And you brought flour, which obviously stays fresher longer. I don't know how they made the bread, but however they did it. So there's a star that comes out once every 70 years. And the way the ships knew where they were going is they based it on the stars, right? I don't know exactly how they figured that out. Anybody who's used to Waze is certainly not going to have any concept of how these guys did it. But based on the stars, that's how they knew where to go. So Rabbi Yeshua is saying that he knows that once every 70 years, some form of star comes out, and that totally messes with the sailors, right? So Amalei, Vamarti Shema Yalavi Yisai. So I said to my Rabbi Yeshua is talking to Rabbi Gamliel. He said, I know this star comes out once every 70 years, and I know that it will mess everybody up. So I was afraid of that. So Amalei, Kolkach biyadcha va'ata oila b'sfina. You have so much information in your head or in your hand, and you're on a ship, which is a very interesting question, because clearly Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua now were on a ship in order to do business, right? That's where they were on this ship. So Rabbi Gamliel turns to Rabbi Yeshua and says, you're such a smart guy and you still have to earn a living? Right? Isn't this the big taina of people? The smartest guy in the class, he can't earn a living, right? All these smart guys can't earn a living, right? So you see, there's some precedence for that taina, right? But he's even saying that to him, like, why? I don't know if he was trying to shtoch him. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where he was going with this.
Yeah, I think the bigger finish is that Rabbi Yeshua, who was the Av Bezdin, was working.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the next thing we're going to get to, and I'm amazing. Even more of a thing. Yes, they all worked back then, Akiva. Is that what
So
you had?
he wasn't stam like he was the best. He was the head.
Correct. Well, because are you saying because an Abbez is not supposed to take money? Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
I don't know. If I cared, he wasn't taking money. He was working. No, I don't know. I'm just saying, like he was. I mean, he wasn't stop. He was mamish the top. So I don't know. It just seems like a big chiddush.
Right. And but they had to. Bottom line is they had to earn a living, right? He said, you wondering about me? I have two talmidim on the dry land. Rabbi Eliezer Chasma Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgada. Those are their names. Sheyoidin l'shar kama tipus yesh b'yam. They know they can count how many drops of water there are in the sea. Ve'enlem pas lechol, and they don't have 2 cents to rub there. They don't have any bread to eat. For like beged lubash, and they have no clothing. Right, which is wild because if you're that smart, you should be able to earn some form of living. And it doesn't say that they don't have it because they're sitting in koilel, right? If that would be the reason, I think, then he would say, and they choose not to go earn a living because they want to sit and learn. It doesn't say that, right? So again, I don't know if that's a proper diuk or not. Anyway, so Nasan Daita Leshivam Barosh. So when Rabbi Gamliel, when they finally got back to land, Rabbi Gamliel decided he's going to seat them at the head. What was his kavanah? So Rashi says that they should become publicized. And like this, people say, oh, these guys are chashuv, let's hire them, or let's give them money, or I don't know, give them money, hire them. I don't know. Point is, he was doing the social media thing. That's what he was doing, right? I mean, in the human interaction, social media. He was putting them out there. So Kashala, when Shalach lehem v'leibo, so when he got there, Rabbi Gamliel, he said, he sent for them and they didn't come. Now you know why they weren't making any money. So Chazar v'Shalach bo. Then he sent them again, and then this time they came, which is also a whole thing. If the Gadol Hador tells you to come, you come, right? So first they turned them down, and then they decided to come. Amar lehem, he said to the king, you think that I'm going to give you an office, meaning I'm giving you a shtela, right? Meaning, and you guys didn't want it. Until it pays now. And this is the point of this whole story. Avdus ani noisin lechem. I'm giving you avdus. You think I'm calling you to sit in the front, and therefore it's going to be like a life of roses. You're going to be an eved. Shenemar v'yidabru elav lemar emayom tiya eved la'amazeh. You're going to. This is talking about in Melachim when Shlomo Melech died, right? The question was, who's taking him over? What I said, you're going to be an eved to the nation. So the point of this whole Gemara is, and this is 100% true, when they say it's lonely at the top. You ever heard that phrase? Meaning anybody that's in charge means that there's a lack of freedom that they have. You become a Rosh Hashiva, right? And you got to daven in the yeshiva always. You can't go davening in the shtiblach. Right? You're stuck. You got to get it to say, hey, you got to be Messiah the Kedusha, you got to do this, you got to do that. Right? Like we say, when you wear a tie, that means you tied down to something. So it's called avdus. Bottom line is it's called freedom. So that's what the pasuk was talking about when he got tzaras, when he got tzaras. So he sat at home and he was free. He was a free man to do whatever he wants. Right? Okay, Zog the Gemara, Frank the Gemara, Tanur Rabbanon, second line down, Yudam base. Tanur Rabbanon says Asher Nasi Yechta. The Nasi did a chet. Summer of Yochanan ben Zakkai. Ashrei Ador, praised is the Dor Nasi Shaloi maybe carbon al Shigagasa. How great is the Dor that the Nasi brings a carbon on his mistake? If Nasi Shaloi maybe carbon, if the Nasi, who should have the most guy of everybody, brings a carbon, Tzarachat Leimer Mahu Hedjit. Do you have to say what's a hedge you're going to do? If the Nasi has the guts to admit he did something wrong, then for sure a hedge it's not going to have any problem with it. So that's great for the dar. Maybe carbon, and if he brings a carbon on the shaygig, does it go without saying that he's going to? What is he going to do if he does something on purpose? I can't say I understand that. It's one thing to admit a mistake. It's another thing to admit that you did something on purpose. All right. See, the way Rashi explains it, Rashi says, well, if he's doing tshuva on a shaygig, then for sure he's going to want to do tshuva on the maziv. Because the shaygig, you think, I don't really have to do tshuva. It was a mistake. Wasn't my fault. Blah blah blah. That's the way Rashi explains it. I'm saying, but what does it have to do with the dar? So we got into this holding that it's ashrei for the dar. I don't see what that does for the dar. I mean, it's good to have a leader like that, Avada, but I don't know what it does for the dar. Okay, Maskal Rava, Brei the Rabba. Right? So Rava, Brei the Rabba, the son of Rava said, is that the regular Rava? That's not the regular Rava, right?
No.
No, right? Of course. So I guess that's why it's saying it. It's a Maskal Rava Brei. It's not so often that we have this. Maskal Rava Brei the Rava, Elameata, Tichsiv, Ves Asher Chota min HaKodesh Yishalem, that says Asher. This is talking about Me'ilah, using hektish. It says that you do a chet from a hektish Yishalem. So it's the word Asher. Again, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was going on the word Ashrei, right? Asher Nasi Yechta. So he's saying Asher is coming to teach us that it's a big shvach for the dar, right? So if that's the case, the Gemara is asking now from two places in Nach that there are places that say Asher. Does that mean it's a praise? Asher Chata min HaKodesh Yishalem. Right? So is that a good thing that somebody used hektish? Well, be Yeravam and Avat Tichsiv Bei Asher Chata Asher Hechti. Right? Yeravam and Avat never is not going to Olam Haba. Right? So he did a chet, and he caused others to do a chet. So also Ashrei Adaru, is that doesn't mean it's praiseworthy with the dar. So our answer Shani Ocha, the Shani Krab Dibure. Here the pasuk changed its dibur. Meaning there was talking about by our sugi, it's talking about bringing carbon chatas. So it says im. Here it changed to asher. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is saying that since it changed up, therefore it must mean something different. Fine. Now here we go. For pre-Yom Narayim Gemara. Here Darash Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda Mai Tachsiv Yesh Hevel Asher Nasa Ala Aretz. Right, that there's Hevel that's right. This is Koheles. There's Hevel that's made on this world. Asher Yesh Tzadikim. Right, this is the pasuk says it straight out. Right, I'm just reading the rest of the pasuk. The Gemara doesn't bring it. So Asher Yesh Tzadikim Hashem Agia Leim K'Maiser Rashaim. There are Tzadikim that they end up being treated like Rashaim. Yesh Rashaim Hashem Agia Leim K'Maiser Tzadikim. And then the Rashaim that seem to be getting it like Tzadikim Amarti Shegam Hevel. So this whole thing is pointless or whatever. It's all Hevel stupidity, right? That's what Koheles is saying. So what does this mean, right? Ashreim l'tzadikim shemagi aleim k'maiser Hashem sh'laylam haba ba'olam hazeh. It's praiseworthy for the tzadikim that they get the punishments of the maiser Rashaim in an olam haba in this world, meaning the Rashaim. Let's see the next line. And woe is it to the Rashaim that get the reward for the tzaddikim and they get it in this world. Basically, it's saying that tzaddikim get punished in this world, so that's why they're in this world, they're treated like Rashaim are going to be treated in the next world. So they get their punishments in this world, like this, the next world, which is eternal, they get everything. And the Rishaim is the opposite. That's the way he wants to darshan the Gemara. Yeah. So Amar Rava asked, "Atu tzadiki achli trei almi misanilu." Right? If a tzaddik can eat from both worlds, right? Is that so bad? Maybe a tzaddik can have a good in this world and the next world. Right? Amar Rava. So Rava has a variation of this.
Didn't we say with Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Shimon, that he was zeichet, like it was a big thing that he was zeichet to Yisurim? I mean, don't we
Yeah,
always
that's what we
say that
say.
it's better? I've
Yes.
never seen a Gemara where the Gemara
Yeah,
says,
that-
no, you should have both.
Right. So there's that, and there's a Tosfos at the end of Saita that seems to say you could have both. Let's see how he says the teretz. Elam Rava. So Rava has a different take on this. Ashreim letzadikim shemagia aleim k'maiser rishon shel olam hazeh ba'olam hazeh. He says praiseworthy of tzadikim that they get the maiser rishon of olam hazeh ba'olam hazeh, meaning praises a tzaddik who ends up with both. Right? Because he's getting treated like a Russia in this world, and he's getting his reward also in this world. And he says, woe is to the Rishayim that are going to get punished down here, and they're going to get punished in the next world. So you see, it's seemingly, according to this Shita, Akiva, yeah, that's what Rav is saying, that there is a possibility. He's saying it's a praiseworthy thing. That's not the norm. The norm is, that's the way I understand it. The norm is that a tzaddik does not have it good in this world, and a Rasha does. And then Rav is saying, but it could be praiseworthy for somebody to end up with both. So like we've said many times. So now we have Yom Naraim coming up. So you're davening to make a lot of money and to get a new car and get this and that. Now, does that mean that you came out of the din and Hashem listened to your tefillas, or maybe he didn't listen to your tefillas? How are you supposed to know? So when something good happens to you, how are you supposed to know whether you are a Rasha or a tzaddik? The default would be that you're a Rasha. If something good happens to you, then you're a Rasha. Right? If something bad happens to you, then l'chari you're a tzaddik. Although Rava's leaving that window open, that it is a possibility that you can be both. Right?
Isn't that the point of all of this? We're not supposed to be sure.
So basically, we don't know anything better before. We didn't know before, and we don't know after.
Why are you looking for external things to tell you whether you're good or not?
Oh, I'm saying, yeah. Like, bottom line is you go get a Slurpee Matzah Yom Kippur, right? You decide to buy a scratch off. You lose, and your friend wins $1,000. Who's the Rasha? Who's the tzaddik? Neither. My wife is chiming in here. She's not
They're
liking
both
what I'm saying.
They're both tzaddikim. You have to be mamali yizayt within, no?
We don't know. We don't know. Bottom line, we don't know, right? As I drive by
Isn't
the
this
World
why the
Trade
Rambam
Center
says
with on 9/11 with the World Trade Center, are those tzaddikim? Right? I think we're all mighty that they were tzaddikim.
All of
Isn't
them?
this why the Rambam says you're supposed to look at yourself
All,
like
I
a
don't know
Benoni
all.
always because you don't know?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Chacham. That's you can never rest on your laurels. That's my point. Never, meaning we're looking for Yishuv Adas. We want, Davin and Yom Kippur, so we get what we want. Bottom line is, you cannot. Hashem does not want us ever to rest on our laurel. You cannot say, I know, Adarava. People think, okay, I have the stress of Yom Naraim and I get through it, and then all good. No, it's not true. That's all. It's just not true. You can never let your guard down. That's all. There's no way. To me, it's clear. That's the way Rabban Shalom wants this world. Right? Anyways.
Very stressful.
Let's see a little weiter. Yeah, it's exactly, Chacham. It's very stressful. That's the way Hashem wants it. Right? We're avodim to the Rabban Shalom, we're avodim to the Rabban Shalom. We got to work 24/7 and do what He wants, not what we want. Right? It's not up to us, really. Bottom line is in Yom Narayim, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, you'd think that there'd be any place in the whole davening to ask for some, for parnos or something. Every day we daven for all our needs 3 times a day. Comes Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, not a word. Right? Yeah, so some of the piyutim, the other thing in B'Sefer Chaim, so there it says parnosa toiva. Now that's the only time. And by the way, there it says parnosa toiva. This is my own thing. I don't know if I'm right. it says, people ask, it's a double lashon. Achnu v'chol am tabeis Yisrael. What's the double lashon? So that's why I think the only place in the davening where we ask for parnasa, we double it up and say it's for us. And just in case you think you just includes you and your family, it means no. It's anachnu v'chol am tabeis Yisrael. Meaning the parnasa, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu would care less for you to have parnasa any more than the next guy, right?
So Yaakov, that's
It's
true
all-
in everyday davening also.
What do you mean?
I'm saying that
In,
Baruch Aleinu is not on us; it's on Klal Yisrael.
Yeah, of course. Oh, the whole
On the
davening is
belt,
like-
actually.
Yeah. Anyways, it's almost when you learn these Gemaras, it almost sounds absurd. The people that ask, can I ask for personal bakashas on Rosh Hashanah? Meaning, yeah, avada, you ask, if it's going to make you daven better, so do your personal bakashas, but defeats the whole. It totally defeats the purpose. All right. You want to ask your personal bakashas, you might get it, and then you realize on second, the reason I got it is because I'm a Russia. At least there's a concern.
Not if you Kimli with with Rava.
It's a possibility. And then what are you going to do? So then you're going to say, oh, I'm a tzaddik. So then what? Then you're going to sleep in and not go to davening anymore because you're a tzaddik? No, you could lose that tzaddik category really fast. So what exactly are you supposed to do with that information? Right? Okay, enough depressing things. We go right.
Enough Musar. Let's start the daf.
Enough Musar. That's why we didn't have to learn Musar tonight. Right? Okay. I will relay my wife's rebuttal after the daf for tomorrow. Fine. Rav Papa, yes, we're up to, right? Yeah, Rav Papa v'Rav Huna, Breder Rav Yeshua, Asula Kamei de Rava. Right, Amalu, Ukimtu Masechta, Plan, Masechta Plan. Do you know this Masechta and that Masechta? Which, of course, the Mefarshim ask, we know that you're supposed to lie. That's the Gemara above Metzia. You're supposed to lie if somebody asks you which Masechta you learn.
No, it didn't say you're supposed to. It said you could lie.
No, you're supposed to lie.
That's what I remember it saying. You could lie. It's something you're allowed to lie.
No, I thought we said you should. Yeah. Well, even if not, if you want to say that you could, but these are big people. They shouldn't have answered that way. So some say because he was trying to get into yeshiva. So you have to know. You have to ask him. Or if a Rebbe asks, the Rebbe needs to know what you're holding. So since the Rebbe needs to know what you're holding, so then you're allowed to answer him. So Amrulay, so they said, yes, we know it. Now here's the guy. Now this Torah Umada right here, this next line, I don't know how the non-Torah Umada people get around this next line, Akiva. Right? Amrulay, ain in, he says yes. So then he says, Isar Sisu Purta? You have a little money? Right? Meaning, do you have a parnasa? Amrulay, in. We do have some parnasa. The Zavna and Katina Da'ara, because we bought a little piece of land and we have some parnasa from that. Kari alay or Ashreim l'tzadikim shemagi aleim k'maiser Hashem shebaylam hazeh ba'aylam hazeh. So it's Ashreim to tzadikim, the ones that are zoichet to both have what we call nowadays Torah Gedula. Right? Yeah, so that's
Who's we?
That's we in the world. I don't know where.
See, Yaakov, how close are you to Lakewood right now?
I'm on my way back. Yeah. Yes, we as a society. Okay, call it Torah Gedula.
Describes the Lakewood mentality.
Okay, fair. You have a fair point. Okay, weiter. Omar Rabba Babrachana, Omar Rav Yochanan. Ma'idasik Yisharim Darchei Hashem. This is Reb Nissen Kaplan's favorite line when he gives a shir. He gives a shir and he talks about halacha. So he knows that when you say over a halacha, you for sure end up bringing up things that people are gonna end up being makel. Meaning when you say the halacha the way it is, so a lot of times people go in with their preconceived notions of what the halacha is, and once you learn the halacha properly, you see, 1 second, there's kulas, there's chumras, right? So that's the pasuk he always says, Ki yesharim darchei Hashem. Hashem's ways are straight and good. Tzadikim yelchu b'am, u'paishim yikashlu b'am. And the tzaddikim were going to go in the right way and choose the right way, and the paishim are going to trip themselves up. Yeah, mashal l'shnei b'nei adam shetzalu peschayim. It's a mashal of two people that roasted their common pesach. Echad achal l'shem mitzvah, echad achal l'shem achila gasa. One taka ate it for the right reason, and he was for the mitzvah, and the other one stuffed his face. All right, so zesh achal l'shem mitzvah tzaddikim yelchuba. The one that ate it for the mitzvah, he's a tzaddik. If he was just taking the opportunity to stuff himself with meat, Pesach by night, so then he's a Pesheya. Someone Rish Lakish, Russia, Karazla, you calling him a Russia? Okay, he didn't do the choices mitzvah. He was enjoying himself and he ate a lot of meat. Right, Pesach, Miloi Ka'achal, but Lamaisa, he ate the korban Pesach. So the Mefarshim say, we're not talking about, when we say Achila Gasa, it can't mean Achila Gasa, because we know that's a Yom Kippur sugya, that somebody who's eating Achila Gasa, which means he ate so much that it's disgusting to him to eat anymore, that's not considered an Achila. Like if somebody stuffs himself right leading up to Yom Kippur, and then he decides to continue eating on Yom Kippur, and he's so stuffed, he's not over on any Isser, because it's not considered an Achila. That's not the Achila Gasa that we're talking about. This is just Achila Gasa, means he was having a good time. So everyone says that's not a good pasuk, not a good mashal. Ella mashal l'shnei b'nei adam zeh ishtei v'achoisei ima b'bayis, zeh ishtei v'achoisei ima b'bayis. Two men, one has his wife and his sister in the house, and the other one has his wife and sister. Echan is dam lo ishtei. So one ended up sleeping with his wife. Echan is dam lo achoisei, and one ended up sleeping with his sister. So zeh and is dam lo ishtei. So the one that ended up sleeping with his wife, tzadikim yelchuba, that's a tzadik. Possession is not like a so Pashim Yikash Labam. It's a Pasheya. So they trip up. All right? Meaning, so you see that Tzadikim, Hashem makes it that they're not over on Isura. So when it says me dummy, is this case similar? Anan coming on Chad Derech. We were saying
Yaakov Avinu jumps out at you.
I was waiting for you to pipe up, Naftali. Yeah.
Sorry. Yaakov Avinu jump right.
What do you mean? Which part?
Rachel and Leah.
It wasn't his sister.
There was no Isser.
I understand. I understand. I understand, but it still wasn't in his mind. It was the same mistake, but I understand it wasn't his sister. I understand he didn't do it and Lovin did it. But I don't know. It doesn't smell right.
It wasn't us.
It's not
I
an
understand.
Isser.
I understand it wasn't an Isser, but it still doesn't.
He got fooled. That's it. He got fooled. Tzadikim, yes. Tzadikim get fooled. Yeah, you can fool tzadikim. That's
but it's
not
saying tzadikim yechubov. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know. The way the muscle doesn't smell right. That's all.
Okay. Well, either way, the Gemara asks a kasha on it, so and slugs it up, but not for your reason.
I don't know what the issue is. It's a huge child in the Rishayim. Why Yaakov Avinu did that? Like, why is that? He did it for the right reasons, but it's a kasha how he was able to do it.
Well, he didn't do it. What do you mean?
Right, he didn't do it with the wrong
Rachel,
kavanas. So how does he get a cheshbon that was MS? Whether it
to marry Rachel, you're talking about to marry Rachel.
Yeah.
Naftali's asking that he was fooled.
Okay.
That's all.
It took him many years to learn the ways of loving. He didn't know in the beginning.
Yeah. Anyways, the Gemara has a different kasha. So Gemara says, "Mi dami, anan kamrin on chat derech." We said it's one derech, and the tzaddik is successful, and the Rosh is not. V'acha shnei drachim. Here it's two different drachim, meaning it was two different. Your mashal is two different houses, right? Ella mashal l'light to shtei the mashal light and his two daughters. So the daughters were legit. They thought there was nobody else left in the world. Right? They thought there was nobody else left in the world. And Mamela, they thought that they had to make sure that the world continued. And Tzadikim Yachabam Hushan is Chavnu. I'm still Tzadikim Yachabam. They're Tzadikim. And that's what they were doing the right thing. Who? But Light, he was a bum. Sheneschavin l'shem Aveira. So they were doing a kavana for the Avera, and they were the Paishim tripped on there.
Well, Light knew what he was doing?
Was relaxed. The Gemara says, maybe light also was kavana for the mitzvah. This whole pasuk, we darshan this pasuk that really light was a manuval, and he had himself, and he thought he's doing a very shanama, but he used to light, and light lifted up his eyes. And this is talking about by Eishes by Tifera. She lifted up her eyes as Einov, and his eye. That's so that meaning when he lifted up his eyes, like it's referring to a lifting up eyes in order to be mizana, right? Es Einov vayomer Shimshon Isa kachli kihi yishar beina. That's when Shimshon wanted to take the plishti. So that's also having to do with relations. Vayar Isa Shchem ben Chamor, and Shchem ben Chamor saw Dina, right? As called Kikar Yarden, the whole Kikar Yarden, Kibar Isha Zaina ad Kikar Lechem, because he's going to give Kikar Lechem to the Zaina, Kikula Mashka, because the whole thing was water. Elcha Acharei Ma'avai Nosni Lachme Umeme Tzimrei Upishti Shmane Shikuvai, right? And he's going to go after the people that he loves, and he's going to give his bread and his water, etc., etc. So you see that really that's the way we darshan the whole pasuk by light, that his whole kavana was to be promiscuous with his daughters. So when I asked, well, I mean, honest, he was an inus, he was drunk, right? How could you say that he did it intentionally if he was drunk? So Tana Mishum Rabbi Yossi Rav Chaini Lama Nakar Al Vav Shebekuma Shabechiro. How come when it says when he got up, there's a dot on top of that Vav Loimer Loch Shekishashivcha Lo Yoda Avabakuma Yoda. When he went to sleep, he had no idea. But when he got up, he realized what had happened. So Gemara says, okay, well, my Havalei Lameva, my Dahava, what's he supposed to do? What happened happened. Meaning, it happened while he was drunk. So nafkamina the lapanya achrina loy. Okay, don't get drunk the next night, and let the second daughter do this, right?
How would he even have Avamina? That'd be the second daughter. He didn't, how would he even have? I mean, and he's just in a veilus for his wife, So,
right. I know. Yeah. Okay. This kasha. I mean, the other one we discussed it. The story in the Igros Moshe. The story that what happened with Moshe that's
in
one
Russia.
of Naftali's favorite stories in Russia.
Yeah.
Right. That a guy had a tongue disease or something, and he was dying. And how did it go? And then Ramosha,
he called Ramosha to the
Ramosha.
hospital. No, he called Ramosha to the hospital. He was another Rav. He gave a drasha on that parsha, and he said that they sinned.
Right. Keep going, say it.
Oh, so he got this big disease where his tongue blew up and he was dying from it. And Light's daughters came to him in a dream and told him that it's a punishment because he spoke that they did an avera, and he was telling us he wanted to tell us Rav Moshe Feinstein.
Right, because they came to him in the dream and it told him that they weren't, and then he died from it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. Okay.
Yaakov.
Yeah.
To answer on this pasuk, it says Yikoshlu, but it doesn't say that he did it on purpose. He says they'll stumble. And he might not have 100%. It might not have been like a complete inus, and it might not have been a complete on purpose. It doesn't say he doesn't say he was pashay. He was Yikoshlu, meaning he didn't do it, but he stumbled with it.
Oh yeah, it's a good point.
It wasn't 100% what he was doing. He stumbled, and that's the point. Right. The point is that Rishayim, they end up in bad situations because that's the road they go down in general.
Yeah. No, I hear. You're saying you dig. It's not okay. Very good. Okay, it's late. I see the kids guys are coming on. I'm sorry.
The getting drunk.
What?
That was the point.
That's another interesting point. Why is he an inus?
Sorry.
Right. Yeah. No. Go ahead.
If he would have been doing it as tzidkus, he wouldn't have gotten drunk.
So that's the thing. Isn't it mashma here from the Gemara that being drunk is an inus?
Yeah, but getting drunk in order to do something means it's not tzidkus. You're not viewing it the right way. It could have been tzidkus.
Why? Maybe just like before you give a good drasha, you got to drink.
That I have the same kasha on people who do that.
Who, the people who are saying the drasha, or the people who are listening?
Well, the one who says it drinks, and then after he's finished, everybody who listened wants to drink or wish they drank, right? Okay, let's go to late. Dorosh Rabba, my dechsiv, ach nifsha mikirias ois, and an ach who had a rebellion from Kiryas Ois, a strong city. Umedanim, how do you pronounce that? Umedyonim, sorry. Kibriach Armon. Yeah, so ach nifsha mikirias ois means zeloy chapirish me Avram. He separated from Avram for no good reason. Umedyonim kibriach Armon, and he made like fights, like the briach, the how do you call it? The bolts. I don't know, the bars that you lock up the armor in a castle. So here's the Midyanim
from the Mishkan.
Right, that's how I know it, Aaron. That's how I know it. And I'm not a Kayan, but you have a good excuse why you know it. Okay, anyways, Shehitul Midyanim Bein Yisrael, that because he made a war is between Yisrael and Ammon. Shenemar because of all that went on, we're never allowed to have a ger from Kala. From
why is that blamed on Light? That was because of what happened later on. It wasn't because of Light.
Because he gave birth to Ammon and Moab.
Okay, but that's not the reason why they can't enter.
No, but he started the whole. I hear what you're saying, but the whole thing got rolling because of Light.
Okay, but that's that. Okay.
Anachanami. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So Dorish Rav Itever Yitza. My desiv l'taiva yivakish nifrad b'chol tashia yiskala. L'taiva yivakish nifrad said light shenifr me Avram. That's talking about Light who separated from Avram. Aval tashia yiskala, and he's going to be revealed of all any sort of smartness. His colon, his negative things are going to be. The pasuk is going to. Everybody's going to lane it in the Bati Midrashas, Bati Knesias. It's become public fodder for what Light did. And then it's going to say that Ammon and Moab have Isser Olam. Fine. Now this next Gemara is a very hard Gemara to understand. For Amar Ula, Tamar Zinsa, Zimri Zina. Tamar was Mizana, right, with Yehuda, and Zimri was also Mizana. Tamar Zansa, Yatzim Mena, Melachim and Nevi'im. She came out of her Melachim and Nevi'im. Zimri Zina, Naflu Kama Rivois Yisrael, Me Yisrael. And Zimri, this is not, the next Gemara is a hard one. And tens of thousands of people died from Zimri being Mizana, because that led to the whole war. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Then this next Gemara. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Gedola aveira lishma mi mitzvah shaloi lishma. Doing an aveira lishma is better than doing a mitzvah shaloi lishma. Shenemar tevarach minashim yal eishes tavar akeni minashim ba'oil tevarach. So yal in chever of the eishes tavar akeni. So we all know the story with Yal and Sisera. She went, she got him drunk, she slept with him. And that was an Aveira, but it was an Aveira Lishma in order to save Klal Yisrael. Right? But she was better than the Nashim that were benched, that were blessed in the oil. Man ninhu Nashim ba'oil. Who are the ones that are women in the oil? Sarah Rivka Rachav Aleya. Right? So she's better than them because they were doing a mitzvah, Zaloi Lishma, meaning they were married to the Avos. They were doing a mitzvah. But it was Shaloi Lishma, so they're not nearly as great as Yal, who did an Aveira Lishma.
What mitzvah was Loi Lishma?
The companionship with their husbands, right?
I'm saying, why was it Loi Lishma? I don't know.
It wasn't Lishma. They wanted to be married. It was a shidduch crisis back then too, it seems. Right? I mean, they were married to the Avos, for goodness sake.
And being married to Avram in the beginning wasn't so easy.
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. There's a hard Gemara to understand. It was Shaloi Lishma.
So every husband and wife is like Lishma?
You read the Rav Steinman book.
Yeah, I don't know
Naftali?
if I remember.
Steinman
I have to
held
read it
every
again.
last thing is Shaloi Lishma.
Okay.
He said nothing we do is Lishma. Zero. And he's 100% right. Not that he needs my Askama. Right? Anyway, so Gemara asks, Aini, it's not true. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, La'olam Yasak Adam B'Torah B'Mitzvahs Afilu Shaloi Lishma Shemitach Shaloi Lishma Ba'al
1 second.
Lishma.
Oh, no, forget it. I was going to say my Averis are good then, but that's also like Lishma.
Right, exactly. Right. So a person should be Isaac and Torah mitzvahs Afilu Shaloi Lishma Shemitach Shaloi Lishma Ba'al Lishma. So Ema Kim Mitzvah Shaloi Lishma. It doesn't mean it's better. It's the equivalent. Amar Rav Yochanan Sheva Be'ilas Baal Oisei Rasha Ba'Oisei Shah. Sisra slept with Yael 7 times. Shenemar Bein Ragleh Kora Nafal Shacham, and it says 7 Lashonis. Fakam is Hanya Me'avera. Oh, but Lamaisa she got enough from the Avera. Rabbi Yochanan Shor B'Shem Ben Yochai Afilu Tavasam Sharashayim Rahi Yetz Tzadikim. By Tzadikim, it looks like he might look like that a normal person is enjoying. A tzaddik is not going to have any sort of enjoyment from anything that comes from a rasha. A person should be Isaac and mitzvahs. Torah mitzvah filu shaloi lishma. Right? Shabbatai shaloi lishma b'al lishma. Shabbaschar membeis karbonis shehikriv balak harasha, because of the 42 karbonis that Balak harasha brought. Zachav yatzim menu Rus. That's why Rus came out of him. The Amar Rav Yosef Rav Chanina Rus bas benoishel Eglain. She was the granddaughter of Eglain ben benoishel Balak Melech Moav. Right. So the Chavar Aaron Horowitz, who's not on here tonight, another thing that we learn out from Balak. Right. Besides that, we start davening off with him from Atayvu. Right. We also learn out one of the big rules in Yiddishkeit, which is do the mitzvah mitay shaloi lishma b'al lishma. We know that from Balak too. Okay, let's do a couple more lines and then we'll finish.
How do we learn out Torah? How do we learn out Torah from him? Isn't it only mitzvahs because he brought korbanos?
Yes, I think Pashut, but I don't know if I'm right. Is that Torah is a mitzvah, right?
Yeah, but it separates it as 2 separate things: learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. So yeah,
that's a good point. It's a good point. Okay, Amar Rab Pia Barab Amar Rab Yochanan Menayin She'ena Kadosh Baruch Hu Mekapeach Afilu Schar Sicha Noah, that Hashem does not withhold schar even for just talking nicely. Mehacha from here, Deila Bechira the Karya Moav, the oldest daughter, meaning that slept with light. He said called the son Moav from the father. Amar Rachmana, the Moshe said the Torah. Right, the Torah says to Moshe about Moav, al tatzer is Moav. Don't give them, don't stress them out. Al tiskarbam, milchama's milchama. Don't fight with them. Milchama on to the next amid. Milchama hudaloi. It's mashma not to give them milchama hatzuure tzerinu, but you can give them tsar. Right, because she named Mina Avilu Tzeira the Karya Ben Ami, which is a much nicer name. She didn't let everybody know that her son came from her father. She wrote Ben Ami, who was the son of the nation. Amrlei al tetzuram val tiskabam klal afilu tzuureloi. Don't even give any sort of tsar whatsoever. So in this, the Gemara is saying that the older daughter was not as choshev as the younger daughter. Again, the younger daughter had a tzniastika thing to say, and the older daughter didn't. Amar Rab Chiya bar Avin, just a few more lines. Amar Rab Chiya bar Avin, yeah.
The older daughter was the first one to do it with Shema. She went and told the CEO.
Right, that's right. So very good. Let's see the next line. Very good, Rabban. So Amar Rab Chiya bar Avin Amar Yeshua ben Karcha lo'elam yakdem adam ledvar mitzvah. A person should go jump to do a dvar mitzvah shebeschar laila acha shekodem bechir l'teira, because of the schar. Right, Rabban? That's what he's saying. That the schar that the older daughter jumped and did this mitzvah, at least what they perceived as a mitzvah. She went first, so in that schar, Zachsav Kadmasa Arba Doris of Malchus. That's why she was zeichet to 4 Doris of Malchus, right? Oivad, Yishai, David, and Shlomo. So it comes out that each one had a Maila and a Chesaron. Right? The older one, her terminology was no good, but the younger that, but Lamaisa, she was a Zoris.
What should they have done though?
know.
That was the meaning of the Makkam, that the younger one, the older one got married first. No.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess for Znos, you don't say that.
I don't know. I don't know the rules.
I don't know either. Okay,
it was a long time ago.
There.
Maybe the rules have changed.
Yeah. All right, we'll stop over there.